What's up, y'all? Today I'm going to do a rundown of a recruiting graphic that I made that kind of resembles cover art, at least to me. So if you disagree with me, feel free to let me know in the comments. Without further ado, let's get right into it. So we start out with the black background. I added the text that is obviously going to be there. I put in this gradient overlay over the word gold and made it gold because the word is gold. So their name would be right here where G-Star Creative is, and then gold in these mountains. That's the theme of the graphic. So we have kind of a background texture layer. It's a layer that we use, or a texture that we use a lot. This is a glow that I put in pretty late, but it'll make more sense later. So I added a circle. I found this chain necklace online. Put an inner shadow up top, probably set to color dodge. An inner shadow on the bottom, probably set to like linear burn, I think. And then a color overlay to make it look more like our gold. That is just a black brush set to linear burn at 85%, which is some shading for the stuff that's going to go on top of that in the future. This is some drippy texture that I found online. Obviously it's brown right now, so I had to put a color overlay on that, and then an inner shadow, which is that yellow light on the sort of bottom left side. So then I added these pictures of mountains that I found. They're like sort of cartoony looking mountains, and I put a color overlay and a drop shadow on those. I'll show you more of that when I pull another one up here in a minute. So I added some shading to the inside of that, and then made it sort of contrasty with this curves layer. This is a drop shadow for what's to come, which is this guy. So this is a regular player with obviously this number switched. I think it was just a 3 that switched. So I made the player black and white, and then added a stroke on the outside to make sure there was no sort of weird white, lining around him. And then I put an oil paint filter on him, and obviously edited him in Camera Raw like I always do. Then I added drip texture to the bottom of him. So I have all of that inside of a group, and on this group, hue saturation layer, a black and white layer, a color fill layer set to hard mix, doesn't matter what color it is, and then a gradient map going from white to gold to black. Basically that lets you sort of cartoonify any photo, and I can go more in depth on that later. Let me know in the comments if you want a sort of breakdown on how to do that specifically. And then this is, so we have the cartoonified layer underneath, then this is the regular player on top with just some like pieces of him cut out, so it's like he's like breaking away. So I have an inner shadow on that to sort of give more depth to the like cracks and whatnot, so you can kind of see that like white outline on it now. Those are two like glows. I think one's like a yellow glow, and the other one is just like a basically little white line or like outline or glow, if you want to call it that. So then I found this texture which looks like basically like crushed diamonds and jewels, and covered his body in that except for the cartoonified spots. I gave that another inner shadow and drop shadow to make it look like more 3D. Like right here you can tell with the drop shadow it just separates from the background, so it makes it look like it really is like cracked away. Bumped up the contrast on that with the curves layer, and then painted in some yellow glow around the edges where it was making contact with the yellow cartoonified version of the player. So then I gave him a white outline, and I did this with a layer style, and then you can go in on the layer style like right here and do create a layer. It's not showing up right now because I don't have it turned on, but you can create a layer from that. So like basically this is just a white outline set to like color dodge or something, but then I clicked on it and clicked create a layer, and it makes this new layer, separate from the old layer. So then this is another mountain that I put in front. So basically that's what they all looked like in the beginning. I put a color overlay on top of it to make it yellow, and then gave them drop shadows. This one is not as contrasted as the others. So then I gave an inner shadow to the whole thing. Basically you can see it on the drip and like around the edges of here. And the inner shadow is actually a like white color dodge glowing layer on the inside. And then another inner shadow from the bottom left that is set to like probably linear burn. And so that basically gives it like more of a 3D look with the lighting on the top right and the shading on the bottom left. So then we have the 3D text broken into pieces. So I separated it with layer masks. I used a color overlay to make this one black. And then I made the 23 white. And this is the outside of the 3D text as a separate layer. I gave that an outer glow, and then I gave the whole group a drop shadow and the whole group an inner glow, which is yellow. Then I went in and added some lens flares all around to just kind of like make it look more shiny and cool. And you know, they're not like perfectly placed and thought out, but yeah, I just added a bunch of them. And some of them are groups and some of them are separate. The grouped ones, so the separate ones are just white lens flares, and the grouped ones are a white one on the bottom, and the opacity is knocked down a little bit, and then a gold one on top set to screen. And you can drop the fill on that to make it look more realistic if it doesn't look realistic, but I think the way that I had them all looked like pretty decent to me, so I left it as is. Then I added just like some glow, which is a yellow brush set to screen, and I just painted that in, you know, where I wanted to emphasize like some lighting and stuff, like, you know, on his muscles, like where I really wanted the yellow to pop. And then this is one more layer I added to sort of like block out this little piece right here that looked kind of weird. So I was basically just hiding that with this layer right here. Then we have the lighting from the top right and the shadow on the bottom left. That's a group that I add to a lot of graphics. Then our color changer, which makes it look amazing. Just look at that pop. And then obviously the bottom info that we always add. And this is just a tweaking of the colors. I thought it was a little bit too orange and wanted to make it a little more yellow. So it's just a slight tweak, hue saturation layer. So if you learn anything or if you like this, feel free to check out one of these other videos, and I hope to get more out like this soon, as well as a video covering how I edit photos in Camera Raw. Thanks for watching.